Ultra-processed people. Discover the hidden truths of our food and the impact of processed foods. Are we unknowingly becoming ultra-processed ourselves? Dive into the unsettling reality of how modern food production affects our health and society as we expose the additives, myths, and regulatory gaps that keep us in the dark. In today's fast-paced world, the convenience of ultra-processed foods often overshadows their hidden dangers. But what do those complicated ingredient lists really mean for our health? In this eye-opening audiobook, we explore the far-reaching implications of ultra-processing on our bodies and society. With insights from acclaimed broadcaster Chris Van Tulken, we'll uncover the shocking truths about food additives, the myths surrounding calorie consumption, and the urgent need for stricter regulations. Prepare to change the way you view your food and the choices you make for yourself and your family. Focus points. Understanding ultra-processed foods, UPFs. What defines UPFs, and how do they alter the nutritional landscape of our diets? Lessons from Chile. Discover how innovative regulations in Chile are leading the way for food transparency and consumer protection. The product's matrix and satiety. How the combination of ingredients in UPFs affects feelings of fullness and hunger. Debunking caloric myths. Why the belief that all calories are equal is misleading and how it impacts our understanding of diet and weight management. Regulatory loopholes. An examination of the gaps in current food additive regulations and what this means for consumers. The societal challenge of obesity. Understanding obesity not just as an individual issue, but as a public health crisis that needs systemic solutions. Roadmap for change. Actionable steps that can be taken to address the issues surrounding UPFs and improve food safety standards. Conclusion. Summarizing the urgent need for awareness, education, and regulatory change in our food systems. Learning outcomes. Gain insight. Understand what ultra-processed foods are and their implications for health. Informed choices. Learn how to make healthier food choices by recognizing problematic ingredients and additives. Awareness of myths. Dispel common myths about calorie consumption and its effects on the body. Understanding regulation. Become aware of current regulatory frameworks and their limitations regarding food additives. Empowerment for change. Equip yourself with knowledge and tools to advocate for better food regulations and practices in your community. Focus point 1. UPFs and the alarming trends in health. Imagine Moana, a quaint town nestled along the banks of a river in the heart of the Amazon rainforest. Here, brick buildings stand beside traditional huts, and radio towers reach toward the sky, competing with towering palm trees. While this remote community seems worlds away from the frenetic pace of urban life, it has not escaped the influence of global food trends. Alarmingly, some local children have begun to show signs of type 2 diabetes, an unexpected and troubling development for such a small town, while many adults are experiencing obesity. This troubling trend is not isolated. Since the mid-1990s, the renowned Brazilian researcher Carlos Monteiro has observed a disturbing pattern. While wealthier populations are losing weight, lower-income communities are experiencing significant weight gain. This shift aligns closely with the rise in popularity of ultra-processed foods, UPFs, such as sugary cereals, prepackaged frozen meals, and ice cream. In Brazil alone, the consumption of snacks like biscuits and soft drinks surged fourfold from 1974 to 2003, reflecting a dramatic transformation in dietary habits. As traditional diets that have nourished cultures for generations give way to these convenient, prepackaged options, the health implications become increasingly concerning. In Moana, the arrival of a floating supermarket, dubbed Nestlé Takes You On Board, marked a significant change in the community's eating patterns, as it introduced local residents to a variety of processed goods that were previously unfamiliar to them. Are these alarming health trends merely coincidences? What role do ultra-processed foods play in shaping our health outcomes? Are regulatory bodies effectively overseeing the additives in these products? As we embark on this investigation, we aim to uncover the connections between the rise of UPFs and the concerning health trends in communities like Moana, examining the broader implications for public health and the need for stricter food regulations. Focus point 2. The lab in a package. Understanding ultra-processed foods. We've all heard the advice to limit our intake of processed foods, yet the reality is that many items we consider staples, like canned beans, sardines, or even bread, are processed in some form. So, should we completely eliminate these foods from our diets? The concept of ultra-processed food, UPF, is introduced to help us navigate this confusion and differentiate between nutritious options and those that are less healthful. UPF refers to foods created through complex industrial processes that often involve breaking down a product into its fundamental components, modifying them, and then reassembling them into a form that resembles food. This process is rarely confined to a single location. Ingredients are typically transported across various factories before being combined. The end result is often enhanced with colorings, flavorings, and other additives to create what is marketed as an industrially produced edible substance. So how can we identify UPFs in our food choices? The ingredient list serves as a crucial guide. If you encounter unfamiliar terms like stabilizers or gums, or familiar ingredients that have been altered, such as RBD oils, which stands for refined, bleached, and deodorized, then you're likely dealing with UPF. The use of partially hydrogenated oils, which are high in trans fats, is another red flag to watch for in ingredient lists, as these should be avoided for better health. It may seem logical to assume that using fewer ingredients is more economical, but in the case of UPFs, these added processes and components actually help reduce costs for manufacturers. Here's how. Extended shelf life. Take ice cream, for example. Traditional ice cream is prone to spoilage and texture changes during transportation due to temperature fluctuations, which can lead to the formation of ice crystals. However, the incorporation of emulsifiers and gums allows UPF ice cream to maintain its creamy texture, making it suitable for wider distribution. Cheaper substitutes for traditional ingredients. While ingredients like milk and eggs may not seem overly luxurious, their inclusion raises production costs. In contrast, manufacturers often turn to less expensive synthetic alternatives or modified forms of common grains. For instance, chemically altered starch can serve multiple roles, appearing in salad dressings, pie fillings, and even non-food items like laundry products. Some additives, such as dimethylpolysiloxane, E900, found in certain hot wings, also have uses in hair conditioners and flea treatments. Interestingly, while ultra-processing and additives don't necessarily add calories, sometimes even reducing them, there's a catch. Research conducted by Dr. Kevin Hall indicates that those who consume UPFs tend to eat more overall. This isn't simply a matter of choice. UPFs are deliberately engineered to encourage overconsumption, making it challenging for individuals to regulate their intake. Focus point 3. Bacterial slime and other additives, the hidden dangers of UPFs. Many of us make an effort to reduce our intake of ultra-processed foods, UPFs, but sustaining this change proves difficult. What is it that keeps drawing us back to these processed products? The answer lies in the additives that manufacturers use to enhance flavor and appeal. Sugar is a central player in this strategy, sneaking its way into a wide range of foods, from breakfast granola to condiments like ketchup. The reason for its prevalence is clear. A study by Yale scientists reveals that the more a product spikes our blood glucose levels, the more we crave it. Sugar is particularly effective in achieving this, leading companies to maximize its use in their formulations. However, manipulating sugar levels is more complicated than it might appear. Our bodies act as precise dietitians, equipped with a sophisticated system of hormones that regulate our nutritional intake. For instance, think back to the last time you indulged in honey. A spoon or two usually suffices before it becomes overwhelmingly sweet. This reaction signals to us that we've consumed enough sugar. Stop eating, or you'll overwhelm your system. Normally, this internal regulatory mechanism encourages us to seek out the nutrients our bodies require. For example, studies have shown that infants with vitamin D deficiencies often develop a craving for cod liver oil, which is rich in this essential nutrient. However, when we consume UPFs, these products disrupt our internal regulatory systems in various ways. Hormonal manipulation. Some antioxidants and minerals in UPFs interfere with the hormone leptin, which plays a critical role in regulating appetite, leading us to eat more than we need. Flavor confusion. Artificial flavorings can deceive our taste receptors, creating a disconnection between taste and actual nutrient content. For instance, we might crave crab due to its nutritional benefits, but eating crab-flavored crackers doesn't provide any of the necessary nutrients. Masking ingredients. In the soft drink industry, companies often add caffeine and the sour-tasting phosphoric acid to cover up the excessive sweetness of the 9 teaspoons of sugar found in a single can, making the beverage more palatable. To promote better health, flavors should ideally come from whole foods rather than artificial extracts or substitutes. But the risks don't end with sugar. Other additives present in UPFs can have detrimental effects on our health. Emulsifiers. These ingredients can disrupt our microbiome, potentially leading to inflammatory diseases as well as diabetes and obesity. Xanthan gum. This thickening agent is actually a slime produced by bacteria to help them adhere to surfaces. Consumption of UPFs containing xanthan gum may introduce poorly understood bacterial strains into our microbiomes, which could have unknown consequences for our health. Artificial sweeteners. While they don't contribute calories, these substances can paradoxically increase hunger. When combined with sugar, they can impair the body's insulin response, raising the risk of developing diabetes. Understanding the role of these additives and their impact on our cravings and health is crucial. By becoming more aware of how UPFs manipulate our natural regulatory systems, we can make more informed choices about the foods we consume and take steps toward a healthier diet. Focus point 4. Ingredients aren't everything. The matrix of food and its impact on health. While the dangers of excessive sugar and artificial additives in ultra-processed foods, UPFs, are often highlighted, the concerns extend far beyond just the ingredients themselves. Understanding the concept of food matrix is essential, as it emphasizes that a product's health impact is more than merely the sum of its parts. Food is not just about individual nutrients like beta-carotene or vitamin D. It possesses a matrix, a structural organization of all its components. This matrix plays a crucial role in how our bodies digest food and absorb nutrients. When we consume food, our digestive system is tasked with breaking down this matrix to access its nutritional benefits. But what occurs when this structure is compromised before we even take a bite? To illustrate, consider an experiment where participants consumed apples in 3 different forms: juice, puree, and whole chunks. In the cases of juice and puree, participants experienced rapid spikes and subsequent drops in blood sugar levels, leaving them feeling unsatisfied and hungry. Although apple puree contains fiber, it, like juice, lacks the intact matrix of whole fruit. In contrast, when participants ate whole apple chunks, their blood sugar levels rose gradually, leading to a greater sense of fullness and satisfaction. This principle also applies to other foods, such as blueberries. The way we consume them, whole or blended into a smoothie, can alter their effects on our body. The structural integrity of whole foods contributes to their nutritional efficacy, whereas processed forms often lose valuable properties. This is especially evident in nutrient-dense foods like nuts or oily fish. While they are beneficial in their whole form, their extracts and supplements often fail to provide the same health advantages. Foods that take longer to process in the mouth make you feel fuller. Chris Van Tulken. Minimal processing, such as juicing or pureeing, diminishes the food matrix, but ultra-processing obliterates it entirely. This is why most UPFs tend to be soft and easy to chew. They are digested quickly, leaving our bodies little time to release the hormones responsible for signaling fullness. Consequently, people tend to consume UPFs more rapidly and in larger quantities. The soft texture of UPFs not only affects our satiety, but also has implications for dental health. For instance, recent studies indicate that around 33% of 7th graders in the US and the UK suffer from overbites, a condition that results from underdeveloped jaws. This issue stems from the fact that modern diets, dominated by UPFs, require little chewing, denying children's jaws the necessary strain for proper development. To combat this, it is recommended that children's diets include more whole foods that require extensive chewing, such as carrots. Another significant characteristic of UPFs is their dryness. The preservation of products like McDonald's burgers, still recognizable after years, is attributed to their dry composition, which inhibits microbial growth. However, this same dryness contributes to increased calorie density, which can lead to weight gain over time. It is important to note that some whole foods can contain upwards of 25,000 bioactive elements that are lost during the ultra-processing of food. These elements play vital roles in our health and well-being, further emphasizing the need to prioritize whole, minimally processed foods over ultra-processed options. Understanding the importance of food matrix and its implications can empower individuals to make healthier dietary choices, supporting both physical and mental well-being. Focus point 5. Obesity as a societal challenge. Obesity has emerged as a significant public health challenge, with over 10,000 additives utilized in food production across the United States. These synthetic chemicals, including modified fats and carbohydrates, permeate our diets and influence our health in multifaceted ways. Research consistently indicates that ultra-processed foods, UPF, contribute to an array of health issues, including high blood pressure, cardiovascular diseases, inflammatory bowel diseases, diabetes, obesity, dementia, depression. Moreover, the consumption of UPF can contribute to antibiotic resistance due to the prevalence of cheap meat sourced from farms that use antibiotics to compensate for inadequate hygiene practices. Among these health risks, the connection between UPF consumption and obesity is particularly well documented, yet this crucial link is often overshadowed by the emphasis on personal responsibility, such as a sedentary lifestyle and individual willpower. The reality is much more complex. Herman Pontzer, an anthropologist at Duke University, investigated the calorie expenditure of people living in a Tanzanian hunter-gatherer community and found that their calorie burn was comparable to that of office workers in the United States. Similar findings were supported by studies conducted among women in rural Nigeria. This revelation challenges the assumption that modern lifestyles inherently burn fewer calories. The explanation lies in the distribution of energy expenditure. Regular physical activity typically leads to calories being utilized for movement. Conversely, a sedentary lifestyle often reallocates energy to other physiological processes, such as increasing adrenaline and cortisol levels. Therefore, while regular movement is essential for overall health, it is not the sole contributor to the obesity epidemic. Genetics undoubtedly play a significant role in obesity, but environmental factors are equally influential. The simplistic notion that a lack of willpower leads to obesity fails to consider the array of attractive features of UPF that entice consumers. Affordability. In many regions, sugary soft drinks can be less expensive than bottled water, making them more appealing to budget-conscious consumers. Storage. UPF can be stored at room temperature for extended periods, which is critical for individuals who lack access to freezers. This situation affects approximately 3 million people in the UK alone. Convenience. Busy lifestyles often leave little time for cooking, prompting consumers to opt for quick and easy meal solutions. Accessibility. UPF is readily available in food deserts, areas where traditional grocery stores offering fresh, healthy options are scarce. Marketing. Eye-catching packaging and branding, especially those featuring cartoon characters, can strongly influence children's food choices, often leading them to request UPF even without prior experience of the product. This compelling evidence underscores the necessity for a collective societal response to tackle obesity. Addressing the obesity crisis requires more than just individual effort. It demands comprehensive policy interventions that recognize the complex interplay between personal choices and broader systemic factors. Only through coordinated actions can we hope to create an environment that promotes healthier eating habits and reduces the prevalence of obesity in our communities. Focus point 6. Regulation as a recommendation. The question often arises, if these additives are so harmful, how can governmental institutions and scientists allow them in our food? Ideally, every ingredient in our food supply would undergo thorough scrutiny before reaching consumers. However, the reality is fraught with loopholes, corporate influence, and a complex regulatory landscape, especially in the United States. Pathways for additive approval. In the U.S., businesses have a couple of pathways to introduce new food additives. Full review process. Companies can submit a comprehensive report to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, to seek permission for new chemicals. Surprisingly, despite the significant growth of additives, the FDA has received only 10 such applications in the last 2 decades. A major factor in this discrepancy is a loophole in the legislation that governs food additives. Certain products are classified as generally recognized as safe, GRA, allowing them to bypass formal review altogether. While GRA initially included well-known items like table salt and vinegar, the list has expanded, and the process by which questionable substances are added remains opaque. Self-determination. Companies can also conduct their own tests and label an additive as GRA without prior FDA approval. Although the FDA has the authority to investigate these decisions, the agency is overwhelmed with other responsibilities, making it unlikely for them to conduct inspections. This self-regulation approach is widely used by food companies. Chris Van Tulken highlights a critical concern, stating, The flavor industry is literally regulating itself, which underscores the significant gaps in oversight. Flavorings and the GRA loophole. Flavorings, in particular, enjoy even more lenient regulations. To classify a flavoring as GRA, a company needs to seek validation from a trade organization, specifically the Flavor and Extract Manufacturers Association, FEMA, rather than a governmental body. As a result, over 2,500 flavorings have been deemed safe, although this label can be misleading. For example, isoeugenol, a substance recognized as potentially carcinogenic in mice, remains approved without adequate scrutiny by FEMA. The crux of the issue is that, in the U.S., the regulation of additives is largely voluntary. This reliance on corporate self-regulation renders claims of responsible business practices ineffective. Companies face economic pressures. If they limit the use of additives to enhance safety, the cost of their products may rise, leading to reduced demand and potentially driving them out of business. Moreover, even attempts at improving sustainability can be stymied by investors who prioritize profit over ethical considerations. A notable instance occurred when Danone's CEO Emmanuel Faber was ousted for trying to implement more sustainable practices, exemplifying the conflicts between corporate responsibility and shareholder expectations. The long-term implications of safe status. It's crucial to recognize that the status of safe for food additives typically indicates that they do not cause immediate harm. However, the long-term health implications remain largely unexamined. Given the complexities of food production and the myriad effects these additives can have on human health, there is a compelling argument for increased regulatory oversight and reform in the approval process for food additives. Such changes could help ensure that our food supply is not only economically viable, but also safe and health-promoting for consumers. Focus Point 7, a roadmap for change. Minimizing the harmful effects of ultra-processed foods, UPF, requires a multifaceted approach that goes beyond simply recommending individuals stop consuming these products. The challenges are complex, and addressing them necessitates collective action at personal, community, and governmental levels. Recognizing the addictive nature of UPF. One of the first steps in tackling UPF consumption is acknowledging its potentially addictive nature. Many people do not associate UPF with addiction, yet neuroimaging studies reveal that the same brain regions involved in substance misuse may be activated when consuming these foods. This indicates that quitting UPF can be as challenging as overcoming other addictions, often requiring support from family, friends, or professionals. For those uncertain about their relationship with UPF, resources like the Yale Food Addiction Scale test can help assess their eating habits. This self-reflection can serve as a starting point for individuals who seek to make healthier dietary choices. Addressing food deserts. While some individuals have the privilege of choosing what they eat, many do not have that luxury. People living in food deserts often face significant barriers to accessing nutritious foods. It is crucial for governments to protect vulnerable populations by ensuring that healthy options are available and affordable. This may involve improving food distribution networks, subsidizing fresh produce, and incentivizing local grocery stores to provide healthier choices. Learning from successful policies. Chile serves as a prominent example of how effective policies can lead to significant changes in public health. Faced with an obesity crisis affecting 75% of its adult population, Chilean authorities implemented a series of decisive measures in 2016. Taxation. Heavily taxing products high in sugar, saturated fat, and sodium helped deter consumption. School regulations. Banning unhealthy products from schools aimed to protect children from early exposure to UPF. Clear labeling. Mandatory labeling for UPF made it easier for consumers to make informed choices about what they were purchasing. Marketing restrictions. The government restricted the use of cartoon characters on packaging to prevent appealing to children. These measures led to a reduction in UPF consumption and provided a roadmap for other nations to follow. Reducing industry influence. For meaningful change to occur, governments must first reduce the food industry's influence on public health policies. A notable example is the UK, where the government hesitated to ban trans fats despite their known health risks. Such decisions may be influenced by previous ties to the food industry among policymakers. Moreover, the credibility of health claims can be undermined by conflicts of interest, particularly when scientists who support the notion that exercise can mitigate the harms of UPF receive funding from food corporations. Organizations such as the British Nutrition Foundation and the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics have been criticized for their financial ties to the food industry, which may compromise their independence. To foster a healthier food environment, it is essential for authorities to eliminate these funding relationships. By prioritizing public health over corporate interests, governments can develop and implement effective policies that promote healthier eating habits among their populations. The road to minimizing the harmful effects of UPF is challenging but achievable. By recognizing the addictive nature of these foods, addressing accessibility issues, learning from successful policies like those in Chile, and reducing the influence of the food industry on public health, societies can take significant steps toward a healthier future. The collective responsibility lies with individuals, communities, and governments to work together in creating a food system that prioritizes health and well-being for all. Conclusion: centuries of evolution have not equipped us to handle the overwhelming influx of synthetic and modified ingredients that have emerged in our food supply. These additives can disrupt our biological systems and significantly increase the risk of various diseases. Chris Van Tulleken's experiment underscores this reality. After adhering to a diet primarily composed of ultra-processed foods, UPF, for just 1 month, he experienced a weight gain of 6 kilograms, heightened hunger hormones shortly after meals, and increased levels of inflammation. This serves as a wake-up call. It is imperative that we enhance our awareness of the implications of UPF and take meaningful action at both personal and societal levels. Practical steps to combat UPF consumption. Start slowly. Gradually reduce your intake of UPF, focusing initially on those that trigger binge-eating behaviors. This approach can make the transition more manageable and less overwhelming. Reassess ingredients. Investigate the ingredients in UPF. When you discover that certain components are also used in products like deodorants or flea treatments, it may discourage you from consuming those foods. Embrace home cooking. Explore simple and budget-friendly recipes to encourage home cooking. Resources such as Jack Monroe's and Allegram Sevity's recipes provide inspiration for nutritious meals that are easy to prepare and can help shift your diet away from reliance on UPF. By making conscious choices and supporting policies that promote healthier food options, we can take vital steps towards improving our health and well-being. Together, we can create a food landscape that prioritizes nourishment over convenience, fostering a healthier future for ourselves and generations to come. In conclusion, Ultra-Processed People reveals the hidden dangers lurking in our modern food supply and the significant impact that ultra-processed foods, UPF, can have on our health. Here are the key focus points from the audiobook. Understanding UPF. Recognizing the characteristics of ultra-processed foods and how they differ from whole foods. Impact on health. Exploring the link between UPF consumption and various health issues, including obesity, diabetes, and mental health disorders. The role of the food matrix, highlighting the importance of food structure and how processing alters our ability to derive nutrients and feel satisfied. Societal challenges, acknowledging the systemic issues contributing to UPF consumption, including economic factors and accessibility. Regulatory gaps, examining the shortcomings in food safety regulations and the influence of the food industry on policy decisions. Personal and collective action, encouraging individuals and communities to take steps toward reducing UPF consumption and advocating for better food policies. Recommendations: limit UPF consumption. Gradually cut back on ultra-processed foods, especially those that lead to binge eating or unhealthy cravings. Educate yourself. Stay informed about food ingredients and their potential impacts on health to make better choices. Cook at home. Experiment with simple, nutritious recipes that use whole ingredients, reducing reliance on processed options. Advocate for change. Support policies that aim to reduce the prevalence of UPF in our food systems and encourage local initiatives that promote healthy eating. This audiobook has provided invaluable insights into the world of ultra-processed foods and their consequences for our health and society. The knowledge shared here emphasizes the critical need for awareness and action to combat the pervasive influence of UPF in our diets. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to you for taking the time to listen and engage with this important topic. Your interest and dedication to understanding these issues are crucial in fostering a healthier community. If you found this content valuable, please like, subscribe, and share this audiobook with others who might benefit from it. Remember, as you immerse yourself in these discussions, your English language skills will improve. The more you listen, the better you speak. Let's continue this journey together towards a healthier and more informed lifestyle.